Well, here's our project for today. This is a McIntosh MA6200 integrated amplifier. And as you can probably see, the glass is broken here, up through there. It's broken badly right through here. Project for the day is to try to replace it. While we're at it, as you can also probably tell, some of the lights are out or very dim. And with the main lights in the room turned out, you can see which ones are working and which aren't. But you can also kind of tell how dull they are in the first place. So I've got replacement bulbs coming, and we're going to change those bulbs and replace the glass faceplate on this Mac. We've already ordered the replacement faceplate, and you can see it right here. And they give you this little one as well where the push buttons go. And I kind of looked around the internet and I didn't see anything that would help us to get this thing installed. So you can come with me step at a time, see if we can figure this out and get that plate on this amplifier. So here we go. Now there's several screws around the back of the faceplate, including this one. There's another one up on the other side up here. And there's a few more on the bottom. We're going to start by removing the screws that we see around the chassis. So it seems the first logical thing to do is remove all the knobs. And it should be as simple as just pulling them off. So here we go. So the loudness balance knobs have a piece of felt behind it, a little felt washer. We don't want to lose that. A couple of things you might be able to see, and that's that first of all, there is felt behind all the EQ knobs here, and in pulling the knob off of this one, these came off rather easily. This one, however, came off and it left the plastic shank on there. Apparently this is where this thing was dropped. It hit that. This doesn't want to come off, so that's our first problem, is to figure out how to get this off without doing any further damage. Well, you might be able to see the oxidation on the shaft and what appears to be rust, and that was also what appears to be inside the plastic insert. We did get it off. But no telling if this pot is good or not good. It turns all right, but when we get it all apart, obviously we'll have to clean that pot. All right, all the knobs and the felts are off, and now we're going to tackle. There's a screw here, there are some screws underneath here that appear to secure the faceplate, such as this one, maybe even that one. But we've got two on top, we've got a few on the bottom. We're going to start by removing them. So we've taken the corner screws out, and now we're taking the smaller screws, not that one, that follow the perimeter, and we're going to end up taking these out. There's two we've already removed on the other side, and these two as well. So that's 10 screws total that we've taken out, and the faceplate slides off. So that apparently is the hard part. And here's what we're left with here. We're going to try to get in there and clean these pots. We'll want to clean all these switches before we put it back together. So we'll probably take the covers off on both sides here as well. But there's more disassembly required on this broken faceplate. Now let's get after that. So here is our broken faceplate. And it seems that it wants to come out the front, but of course it's not going to. We've got this bracket here, another bracket here, and we've got screws on the end which will probably allow this all to come apart. So let's try removing the screws on the end. Small as they may be, but that's what's going to get this thing all apart. So we'll take the end bracket off. We're going to put the other screw back in there just so we know where it goes. That's going to, oh, interesting. Most of the glass now has come off from this plexiglass backer, which theoretically, from what I had heard, was supposed to be two-face taped to the glass. And I guess it wasn't as broken off of the one side, and it is two-face taped on that side. But I think we likely got very lucky that our plexiglass came right apart and we didn't have to do any magic with trying to separate it because of these small areas of two-face tape that are right there. Alright, I'm going to finish getting the frame taken apart and get prepared to see what happens to put the glass back on to the plexi and get it remounted. So before we go too far, it looks like we're going to have to get this bezel for the switches off of the glass, because in the glass replacement kit from McIntosh, all you get is a brand new piece of cardboard, essentially, with sticky on the back, to replace the one that's there. But we got to get this off of the old glass and put it on the new glass. So we're going to investigate and see what we come up with. Well, there may be a better way, but we are sadly starting out with a hammer and a putty knife, and we're kind of trying to be careful as we tap this through to try to get it loose from the glass. We'll be back when we get it off. Well, there we go. It worked. The putty knife sliding behind the bezel got it off. And one thing we noticed, we thought we could keep this piece of cardboard here that's like the one they sent us to replace. The interesting thing is you can almost tell the difference just by looking at it here. But remember, our lights were kind of dim. And these are actually a darker red than the new ones. So we think the lights will be somewhat brighter if we replace this. So we're going to consider replacing it. There's no damage to this one. We don't have to replace it. But we like the idea that you can see how it's somewhat brighter when you shine light through it. In fact, maybe I can show you with my bench light. You see the brightness of those. Difficult to show you. These lower ones are kind of a lighter red, almost pinkish, where the older ones are bright red. We might just leave this one on there, because these are a good solid red, while the ones below are a little pinky. I mean, I like that. Well, the plexiglass was secured to the glass with little pieces of two-faced tape right there. It was kind of foamy kind of stuff. And I scraped it off what was there with a razor knife and measured the thickness. And it's 0.025 thick, which is using Scotch double-sided tape folded over 4 times. And it's 0.025. So that's what I'm going to use. Alright, we've got the plexi stuck back on there. And we get one good shot at it. You can slide it around a little bit when you're setting the tape. But just line it up with all the holes and give it a little press. And it was 6 wraps of that tape, by the way, to get to 0.025. And that it made it the same thickness as the tape we removed. Seemed to work. I guess we're good. Alright, we've got the bezel put back on our new glass. So these pieces are in, the ends are screwed back on. Hope we don't run into some sort of issue, but you can see how that piece in the back becomes a piece of trim around the front. So, like, now we got to inspect what our issues are with replacing light bulbs, and then we're going to have just one shot to get this glued back on like it should be. And we'll come back and do that. But it's looking pretty good.